Yeah.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Live. Itchy. Live from your ESG dyed non-alcoholic Jello shots.
That's just Jello.
It's a Business Pants Friday show here at June 19th Studios featuring... No, June 20th Studios,
June
excuse
20th.
me.
Juneteenth was yesterday.
Juneteenth was yesterday, featuring analyst hole Matt Moscardi. Woo!
Happy Juneteenth yesterday. We took the day off because of Juneteenth.
On today's weekly wrap-up, the first case of CGI and CEO pay at Warner Brothers. Fridge cigarettes.
What's a fridge cigarette?
Tech bro cash burn and tech bro war games.
Not sure I like either of those.
Our show today is being sponsored by FreeFloatAnalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power, connections, and performance for free.
Yay! Yay!
Now, not too long ago, you peeked into some of the users using that data. It's an interesting list. Have you looked recently, Matt? Are the numbers going up at least? Or what do we know? What are we learning?
I think we've added one user since the last time. No, I don't actually know. I haven't looked. I don't. You know what? The fact is,
we're not good at that kind of stuff at this company.
Yeah, no one cares, right? I'm out there.
We don't do promotion. We don't do social
media.
We don't do marketing. We don't do advertising.
Say this to the three people who listen to the show. We went to VCs last year. We made pitch decks. We talked to VCs. We've shown them our data. We were all over the place. Over 100 that we sent things to. We talked to over 20. All of them passed because they didn't think anyone cares about directors. They really don't think that.
Or they didn't want people to care.
Like either they're on the boards and they don't like what we have to say, or they don't think anyone actually cares about who runs companies at all. I'm not joking when I'm saying that we've been told to our faces that no one cares about this.
Well, that's why I suspect they're trying to continue this notion of not letting people care. They don't want people to care.
Well, so when it comes to like checking in on the users of freefloatanalytics.com, I check in every once in a while, but I know what's on there is the best that you could possibly get.
Clearly,
if you think humans matter at running companies, this is the place to get the information, and it's free. So I don't check in on you. We're not going to spam you with email. There's no risk. You can put in your favorite email address, not the one that you went to dumpsterfire.com and they asked for a login information and you give them some, your lamest email address. Put in your favorite email address. We don't even send you emails.
Yeah, I never get emails. I never get spam. And let me say, occasionally I asked our listeners for answers to questions, and they actually answer occasionally.
Because they're super smart.
Let me put this out. If anyone actually likes things like social media, advertising, marketing, and believes in what we're doing and wants to help, give some advice, reach out to me somehow. Yeah. I don't know how, but reach out to me.
Talk to Damien. Talk to him on LinkedIn.
I hate it all, but I would listen to your...
He doesn't check.
I would listen to your advice. I need it. Come on, let's do the Friday show. Come on.
All right, let's do it.
This is what we are good at. Data... research, stuff like that. ESG stuff, governance.
What I will say is I did not like this week.
You don't like any week.
I know, it's been hard. It's been hard.
I got some strange stories this week. I feel like corporate news has taken a break. I don't know why. It's like in the last, ever since the Musk-Trump feud, if that's what it was, there are no headlines anymore about anything.
That feels ideal. I mean,
maybe that's good.
We're
planes crashing,
contemplating World War III with
but
Iran.
That's political news. That's world news. That's geopolitics. I'm talking about just the business news.
I mean, it could hurt Trump's cryptocurrency holdings somehow.
All right. Ready for stories of the week? Ready for stories of the week?
Yeah. Let's do it.
In no particular order, as usual, I had to start with this one. Here's one of the headlines: Warner Brothers Discovery reworked CEO pay, reducing David Zaslav's massive compensation. I want to
really like this story. This is like the third time I feel like you brought it up.
Second time. Well, the first time was in the good game, right? But this
I think so.
This is risen to story of the week. I want to just quickly show you how some of the other headlines covered the story. And one of the reasons why they're covering the story is I think because he runs a media company. The two types of industries that people love to talk about are either media or tech, right? Social media, tech or media. That's it. No one else likes to talk about anything. Here are the headlines. David Zaslav will take a pay cut with a big hit to his bonus, getting a pay cut. Warner Brothers to significantly slash pay to drop, pay to be substantially lowered. These are all the different headlines. All right, now, in a nutshell, Matt, here's what happened. 60% of shareholders voted no on his pay a couple of weeks ago. The company has already responded. Part of the reason why they've already responded is that the company is actually splitting into two publicly traded entities. So this is a weird one. So here's what's happening. They're reducing some of his annual targets, right? Which means that previously he was making about $50 million a year. Now he's going to struggle to make maybe $40 million a year if he hits 200% of his targets. I mean, they're in a sense, yes, they are lowering some of the targets of his pay plan. Okay, I guess I'm okay with that. It still he's still conceivably overpaid, but that's not the real point here. The point of the story. Here's why I'm focusing on the story: is that buried in the footnotes and what everyone missed about this is that he's also getting 24 million stock options. 24 million stock options, and at a very low exercise price of $10.16. Now, I did the theoretical math. If Warner Brothers share price regained its 2021 high of $77, which isn't
77.
That's not out of the question. Okay, it could happen. It was only 4 years ago. Then he will theoretically gain $1.4 billion on these options, Matt. So I have to ask, how on earth is this a reduction in pay? I just don't know how I don't know how this qualifies to a slap on the wrist. I don't know how this should appease shareholders. And I don't know how every single media outlet missed this part of the story. I just don't get it.
So I'm going to even
24 million stock. Now, before you begin, Matt, when I used to work at the corporate library as an analyst, there was a theoretical threshold that we called a mega grant of options. We considered it outrageous. Mega. We considered this number to be way too much, and we'd always point out, and that was 500,000 stock options. We considered to be outlandish, and we would always point it out. This guy's getting 24 million in a down year after Warner Brothers struggled last year.
So even just looking at your math, if it does hit a $77 high, the difference between the exercise price at $10, which would be able to buy the shares at $10.16, and then sell them immediately at $77 if it hit that high, it's actually $1.6 billion. So
do the math wrong?
You're giving him less. Come on, give him more credit.
Yeah, I thought that the billion would be the thing that shook you the most.
But if you were to split the company in half, because he's only going to be like owning half the company, does he end up getting
job easier too? Does it not?
24. He gets 20. What is it? 21 million shares or 24 million shares? What is
21
it? 21 million shares.
Oh, yeah, right. It's reported two different ways. Yeah, go ahead.
Does he get them at Warner Brothers Discovery before it splits, and therefore when it splits, he actually gets 11 million shares in the other company Like,
Well,
that might actually do better.
It's
Like
a-
the split, it might arguably is going to be better for them.
Yeah, it's a good question. So what's actually happening is he's and this is where the reporting is also confusing, is that he's actually getting a one-time inducement of 21 million stock options, and then in January 2026 he's getting another 3 million stock options. How about that?
So he just gets another 3 million just for getting 3 million.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, this is the punishment for shareholders saying no to his pay. This is the punishment.
The punishment is a pay package is probably 10x what they were going to pay him.
And let's be honest.
Summary comp.
Let's be honest. When a share price is so low at $10 per share, it only has one direction to go, which is up. Right? I mean, it's even if just the stock market just goes up on its own, he's gonna get even if it just goes to $15, Matt, just because the stock market is up, he's gonna get $100 million from those options.
So he's definitely getting, the split is not slated to happen until mid 2026. They haven't announced a date, but the latest reporting on it is sometime middle of 2026, which means he will have 21 million options now.
Yeah, he's
and
already
then
gotten
3
those.
million in January. So 24 million is
24
that's where
million
that 24
total.
million, at probably a slightly different price.
Sure.
But not much
This is
higher.
stupid.
Right?
Yeah.
Like right now, the stock is trading at 10.75 or something like that.
And,
right? Like
and the initial strike price was 10.16
16, right?
Yeah.
So already he's in the money.
for nothing happening.
He's in the money.
Yeah.
Congratulations to him.
I mean, Matt,
He will
it's
get
possible.
those shares though of the unsplit company, which means he is getting to own effectively like shares in the other company, despite not being the CEO of the other company, because Greg Wiederfelds is supposed to be the CEO of the global networks version, the bad version, right? Like, isn't like because it's supposed to be two companies, right? It's going to be the streaming company,
Right.
They called it streaming studios, and then they called it global networks, which is like CNN and TNT.
Which nobody wants.
Zaslav got the streaming and studios
That's HBO.
one, the good one. That's HBO.
Which everyone
he basically
loves. Yeah.
he just put himself in charge of HBO and the streaming movies.
Yeah.
Gunnar Wiedenfeld gets the networks, which is nothing burger.
In fact, I guarantee that. So currently, the HBO is called Max. That's the name of the streaming app, Max. Now, I've been joking for a while now that, like, why are you hiding your biggest brand, which is HBO? That's the brand that everyone loves. There's basically two brands people love, HBO and Netflix. I guarantee, Matt, they're going to switch it to HBO within the next year, and then the share price on that day alone will double.
Yeah,
Just,
it's going to be
just by renaming an app, he's going to make
Here
hundreds
will
of
be
millions of dollars.
Here will be the genius trick of the board and Zaslav. If Zaslav can somehow say, because he's the CEO of the streaming, and they split, so arguably the price of the split, as soon as they figure out the pro rata share of the split, they adjust the options downward.
Oh no!
For the price of the one he's the CEO of, and they say, because you're the CEO there, we're going to give you all the options on your company.
Right.
He announces immediately that HBO is going to be the name of the brand,
Which
right?
it's been since the 80s and still should be. So it's not
The
exactly a
stock
genius
price
move.
doubles.
Yeah.
So like pretend it's like halvesies, right? So it goes down to like $5 a share, $5.50 a share per company, and he cuts his options down to halvesy, $5 a share. It doubles overnight. He is going to make the billion not like 3 years from now, but like by next year. He'll be on paper. He will more than double his money.
I just want to know.
It is the best pay package ever.
I just want to know how no one picks up there's even an article in Seeking Alpha that, nobody picks up Fortune, no Financial Times, nobody picks up on this stuff. I don't understand it.
Oh, because the headline.
We're still
is that
confused by stock
the
options?
the number is lower today. That's the headline.
All right, can we move on from that story? That's the first story of the week.
That's
I have
a good one.
I have a lot of
actually.
nerdy
I've
stories this week. Yeah.
I've turned around. I know why you brought it up so many times now.
Now, this is not a conspiracy theory, this next story, and I know the way I've phrased this is very it's very suggestive, and I didn't really mean it. I kind of mean it. I kind of don't mean it, but I'm just gonna say it how I wrote it. Boeing's longest tenured director, Lynn Good, okay,
Yeah.
who's been there since for at least a decade, right?
Yeah, 2015, 2014, something like that. Maybe earlier.
Okay. Boeing's longest tenured director, Lynn Good, joins the board of Morgan Stanley just 2 days after the crash of a Boeing 787 Dreamliner in India killed more than 200 people.
So you think she's escaping?
No, I'm not even saying anything. I'm just saying, that's the story. That's the story.
Wow.
2 days after.
Those board appointments take months.
I'm just pointing out what happened. I'm just pointing out the sequence of events.
I don't know about that.
Lynn Good escapes everything.
That Lynn Good escapes is the better.
Maybe we just
headline.
retire. Can we just retire all the old Boeing directors?
If you've been a director of Boeing,
Can we just get rid of you?
basically anytime since 1997, you should probably not have a job.
I mean,
In general,
yeah,
right?
Lynn Good's already doing well for herself. She was the CEO and chair of Duke Energy forever. Made a really impressive pay package there. What are we doing? How does a director fail, Matt? What we've seen over and over again. They get voted out, but they stay on the board. The companies collapse, but shareholders don't get rid of them. They, planes are falling out of the sky, but they get appointed to one of the biggest companies in the world. Like, what can they do? How do we punish a director for any? I mean, if a third baseman makes an error, at least someone's going to throw some popcorn on them or something. Can we throw popcorn on Lynn Good? What can we do?
When a third baseman makes an error,
They boo
there's
them.
a column on their baseball card that says E.
Yeah,
right.
true.
Like
they report
you
on
actually
it.
count the number of times they screw up.
Yeah.
These directors go from board to board. They can screw up every single year, and there's virtually no accountability. If anything, Boeing should be the cautionary tale for what happens when you don't care about a board at all. To every VC out there, the way shareholder value gets destroyed is not like you hire a director and tomorrow shareholder value is destroyed. They are either enable decisions to get made, facilitate them, they are active participants in the erosion of shareholder value over years. The average tenure of a director is 7 years. Most directors who, if you make it into the big leagues, if you're in like league 3 and 4 on free float analytics data, which is basically, large and mega cap companies globally, you get a 14 to 17 year career on boards on average. That's the average, which means a lot of directors, once they get to the big leagues, they actually last longer than that. That's a lot of time to destroy companies. And it's the slow death. We don't see the slow death. It's just like in Inconvenient Truth, where they showed the frog getting boiled. So you put the frog in the water, it doesn't know it's being boiled.
I like that we went
late.
from Lynn Good appointed.
I'm just
Morgan
saying,
to
Lynn
frogs
Good.
boiling. Yeah,
Lynn Good is basically like, if you're a shareholder, Lynn Good's been slowly boiling you at Boeing for 10 years. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's the way I'm saying it.
I like it. That's the second story of the week. Third story. Just because this felt like a very summary story, I've seen a lot. There's been a lot of protests across the globe. Protests over tourism. That's what it's called. Yeah. There is a real problem with tourism. I live in one of those cities where the presence of a tourist economy is driving prices up. Everywhere. Not only with just like regular goods and services like restaurants, but rents, the price of homes, like it really affects these economies in really negative ways. But here's the headline: Airbnb CEO Brian Chesky says his company is a quote convenient scapegoat end quote as European cities protest over tourism. Here's the quote I like. He says, in Barcelona, Housing prices rose 60% over the past decade, but Airbnb listings actually decreased, so we can't be the culprits.
Oh.
You see?
I see the way
That's
math
it.
works.
He can't. That's it. Simple. It's simple CEO math. It's simple CEO. Like, hey, we're not involved. Don't look at how much money I'm making. Don't worry about it. Like, that's it. We can't be the culprits. It cannot be us. Despite the fact that cities across the globe are creating laws to deal with Airbnb, but I don't know. I know it's a weird week for headlines, but
it's a weird.
I want to do a summer
thought,
headline.
though.
I want to do a summer headline.
I will say,
Yeah.
I guess in Chesky's defense,
How dare you?
it's a weird thought because, like, I guess what he's saying is that people are buying houses just to rent them out. Like what he's
That's
not
part of the
saying.
problem.
He's arguing that people, the argument is people buy houses just to turn them into Airbnbs
Yeah.
so that more tourists come in.
Yeah, that's part of the
But
problem.
from an occupation standpoint, isn't it kind of the same? Like it's like the same amount of people are there. I mean, I get it.
Same amount of people?
I don't know. I have a hard time.
Yeah. Well, but with more Airbnbs available, doesn't that contribute to more tourists coming in?
Yeah, when they're full, and then during the winter or an off tourist season, then it should be less. It should be less people, arguably, right? Like it's not like somebody's occupying
if
that
there
space
are
anymore.
off seasons for these cities anymore, I don't even know.
I don't know about Barcelona, but
Yeah.
West Hartford, Connecticut, there's definitely an off season.
But my question is, when do companies? When are they accountable to their stakeholders ever? Again, we're talking about accountability. When is Airbnb accountable for anything to anyone? So cities are making laws directed square at this company. When is Brian Chesky going to be accountable for anything? Is my question. When is it about his company?
It's never about
Okay.
their company.
Okay.
I don't know how to answer that.
And it doesn't
question.
matter anyway
It
because
never-
I'm
it
pretty sure
never has been.
Airbnb is a dual class company anyway, right?
It doesn't matter.
So
Yeah,
it
that's
probably
correct.
doesn't matter anyway because investors don't even have a voice at this company.
Yeah, that it's a public company is the real tragedy.
You know, the other reason why I picked this story is because there's a greater problem in our society where we're seeing a lot of these tech bros who are fixing problems or quote unquote fixing issues in our culture. Like Airbnb CEO Brian Chesky, mostly you see it at tech companies like the Mark Zuckerbergs in the world. They come in, they quote unquote fix things that no one asked to get fixed. They make exorbitant amounts of money. They have huge shareholdings. They have dual class shares, so there's no investors can't say what they're doing. And meanwhile, society changes practically overnight, and we have no way of fighting back. The citizens don't have a way of fighting back. Investors don't have a way of fighting back.
well, that's by design.
Okay, but it's a problem. I mean, we're seeing this over. You have a story later that that where some of these CEOs are now getting involved with like defense and war. This is a problem.
That's always
I mean,
after the fact. What's fascinating
Yeah.
to me about these, the idea of the fixes, to your point, is that like, Mark Zuckerberg fixed having friends. We had friends before you fixed it.
And now
right?
we have
Like,
a loneliness crisis.
Now we actually have the opposite problem.
Yeah.
Brian Chesky fixed our ability to like go to places and be tourists. People went places
Yeah.
before you, right? Like this
they had
wasn't
zones.
actually a massive problem.
And they were zoned to come and stay in certain parts of the city, and they weren't irritating neighborhoods, and they weren't like, they were, and houses weren't left empty for 10 months of the year because no one was living in them. Like, they were.
Uber fixed transportation. We had taxis and public transportation
Yes.
prior to Uber.
We had
right?
unionized driving forces in cities like New York City. Yeah, we had, well, is that true?
I'm
Actually, I
not
don't
saying
know if that's true.
it's the myth of the of friction, right?
Yeah.
Like your life had friction before. You had to wait for the taxi for an hour instead
Did you
of
wait?
5
Did you
minutes.
wait an hour?
No,
Okay,
I never. I just didn't
Seconds.
call. You know what I did? I combined two problems, which was friends and needing to get somewhere. I called the friend and asked if they could drive me to the place
Or
that I
you
needed
hopped
to
in
get
the subway, yeah.
Right? Like it's really, we've actually created different friction by solving the friction problem that was perceived.
I call you know what it is? It's like the Shark Tankification of American business, where we where entrepreneurs and founders are looking for any little sliver of entry into our economy and just like ramrodding it down people's throats. Like they're not necessarily fixing anything, but they're seeing it as an opportunity to sell something. And that's really what we do here best in America, right? Is we convince people they need something that they don't need.
Well, but then these individuals, the Brian Cheskys of the world, right? They act like they're being persecuted because they think the ethos is we solved a problem, a societal problem.
Unfettered capitalism, yeah.
Right? We went out there, we used our brains and technology, and we fixed this big problem that was, I don't know, there weren't enough hotels was the problem for Airbnb, but there weren't enough taxis was the problem Uber solved. And they do it with all these grandiose words. Like Uber's mission was like moving people around the world, or like, it's always something like that. But the reality is, after you've solved the problem and your solution doesn't actually improve anyone's life, after you've come in and people are upset because you promised you were solving a problem. You said you've solved a problem. You've made billions of dollars on the back of this problem you purportedly solved that isn't actually solved. My life isn't better. Trump doesn't get elected if people in this country didn't think their lives were worse than they were before. That is largely in the purview of these tech bros who fully believe that they've solved our problems. And now that we're angry at them, they go out and say, we're being persecuted.
And they align themselves with the Trumps.
We align ourselves with like someone who wants to tear it all down because, you know what? We solved your problem. You guys aren't grateful. So everybody go fuck yourselves. Right?
Well,
like it's like that, this baby man attitude that you went in. It's like you built a 3-story shed in everyone's backyard and no one wanted a shed. But you said, this shed will solve your problems. And then we look outside and we're like, I can't see the trees. Like you built it in a way.
I have to listen to people
and then
party
they're
all
like, you're
night.
so ungrateful.
Yeah.
Like,
let capitalism do its thing. And here's my problem with it. Here's where I might be okay with it. I would support this sort of unfettered capitalism that they all want. Is that they're cheating at it. It's a cheat code of capitalism because, and this is why I wouldn't have picked this if this was a Microsoft story. I wouldn't have picked this if this was an Apple story. I'm picking this because it's a Brian Chesky Airbnb story. The 3 co-founders of Airbnb, Joseph Gebbia, Brian Chesky, Nathan Blekarczyk, or whatever, they control 80% of the voting power because their shares magically have 20 votes per share. That just should be outlawed in our capital markets. Maybe you allow it for the first few years after the IPO, whatever. Let them get their board set. Even that, I'm kind of against. But there should be sunset provisions, sunset clauses on all these shares. There is just no way that Brian Chesky should still have a voice at this company that precludes the intervention of investors or any kind of oversight. That's not fair. That's not right. That's not regular capitalism. That's cheating.
Forget about to your point, right? Like I actually think there's a behavioral thing. If you are a founder who requires 10x or 20x shares, that actually says more about your ego, your vanity, your narcissism, your lack of self-esteem. Like we're going to cover on back-to-back shows today, a proxy countdown, where I'm covering NVIDIA and Jensen Huang. You know what he didn't have? He didn't have dual class shares. You know what? There's so many, not even Elon Musk had dual class shares. He had a captured board, as NVIDIA does, sure. But they didn't have dual class shares. If you're Brian Chesky, if you're Mark Zuckerberg, if you're Evan Spiegel, if you're Daniel Ek, if you're Sergey and Larry, what does it actually say about you that you require and will not give up dual class shares to maintain control over your fake public company? Doesn't that say a lot more about your fears than it does about your abilities? Like if you're that good, you're going to get voted in every single year. No one's going to ask you to step down. Not a problem. But it does seem that there's a correlation between dual class shares and horrible behavior because there's no accountability.
You know where else, what other board Joseph Gebbia serves on?
The Tesla board.
Tesla board. All right, that's the third story of the week.
Oh my God, there's another one.
Well, the fourth one, I chose this because we're talking a lot about these boys, these college dropout type boys who control companies, and because it's a topic that's not covered enough. It's a topic that I kind of try to wedge in all the time. It's a topic that I think people should be constantly outraged about, because maybe it would help, although it doesn't seem to help with the climate crisis, right? The outrage doesn't seem to help at all. But okay, here's the story. The headline: Corporate Italy lacks female CEOs. Stock exchange head warns. Of course, warns. Of course, the head of the stock exchange in Milan is a woman, Claudia Parzani, but she did. She said last year we probably reached the lowest level of female CEOs ever, and this is a cultural issue that the business community needs to fix. Of course, the article actually presented no data, so I again, another miss by Fortune. If you're gonna have a story like this, which I appreciate, give me some data. But anyway, that's the headline, and then there's another one out of Australia. Australia's highest paid CEO is revealed, and there's one woman on the list. So again, I'm just pointing out that eventually we need to pay attention to who runs our companies.
Not only that, but
eventually,
I'm not a math major.
No,
but can I just say, when 50% of the population is women, and women disproportionately are more educated and are like better qualified at like going to school, getting master's degrees, PhDs,
and have leadership attributes that we know benefit more stakeholders, including shareholders.
How is it mathematically possible
better at managing long-term risk?
Women, like as CEOs.
I don't know, especially when what is the figure up to now? Even in America, do we know how many women on the board of American companies? It's got to be at least 30%. We're getting close to 30%, right?
Women on the board, 30%.
Right.
Yeah,
so
it's 27 or something.
So we think at least there should be 27% of CEOs should be women at a minimum, right?
I mean,
because there's the pipeline.
Right. If I round it up, all of the women who on paper are qualified, who like arguably are qualified to do the job of CEO, and all the men, you'd have roughly 50-50. If I threw a dart at that dartboard, I would land on woman about half the time. But the Fortune 500, it's like 12% female CEOs.
And that's the highest it's ever been.
Is there a different dartboard that I don't know about? Like, is it there? That's just pure evidence of systemic bias, right? We just want a man to make decisions.
I just don't know why this is not. I don't know why this is not an issue. I mean, look, for years, women on boards was the issue that we were allowed to talk about. Of course, no one talks about it anymore. No one. They've been silenced and they've given up. So they don't scream about this anymore. But no one's ever talked about the lack of female CEOs. That is verboten. We can't.
No. Every year there's one story about how there's no female CEOs. Every year there's.
Well, we had coalitions. We had coalitions of like, let's get all boards at 30% women. Yeah, we don't do coalitions anymore.
Coalitions are discriminatory against white men. You're not allowed to
I understood why the board was a great starting point, actually, because the logic was that you thereby increase the pipeline to power. If you have, like, I would applaud Europe. There's a lot of mandates in Europe, 40% women on the board. You see that in Scandinavia. You see it in places like France. But as our data has pointed out, Matt, is that pipeline actually is a disaster because... Yeah. And you only find this data at freeflowanalytics.com, is that these women have no influence and no power on these boards, so that actually the pipeline is not working.
It's not that it's not working.
It's not.
That even if if the talent pipeline exists, you're not leveraging it, right? Like, but
then it's not working. They should be running these because they should be. There should be. After a while, the idea was that if you had 40% women on the board, after maybe like another decade, you would start to see gradual increases in the amount of women as leadership, named executive officers and CEOs. We're not seeing that. We're not seeing significant increases in those areas. They're not being promoted. Anyway,
This
sorry.
is a depressing end. First of
I
all,
didn't mean it
like,
to be depressing. I meant it to be a call to action. All right, come on. Give me a
all right,
vote on
there
the
are
story of the
stories,
week. Yeah.
4 stories. The Warner Brothers doesn't actually gave David Zaslav
24
more money.
million options.
David Zaslav's pay cut is actually a pay increase.
What was the
story number
How
one?
many did the United Healthcare CEO, the boomerang CEO Helmsley, get that we were complaining
He
about?
got $60 million worth of shares, I believe. They gave him the number. It was like 60 million worth of shares.
But it was
today,
fewer. It was fewer options
3
than
years.
this, right?
It was fewer shares.
Yeah, fewer
than
shares.
this, and they vest 3 years from now with no performance.
And we bitched about that for a while. This is even more than that.
This is even more
All right,
egregious.
keep going.
The conspiracy theory of Lynn Good
I didn't
joining
say
the
that.
Morgan Stanley
I didn't
board.
say that.
You like it's.
I'm
very
just saying,
tinfoil
what are
hat.
we do? What are we doing? Like, what are we doing?
Brian Chesky's not responsible for things,
No, we
and
can't be the culprit.
Italy
No, I love
plus
that quote.
everywhere else
We
has
can't.
no female CEOs.
Brian Chesky says we can't be the culprit. We cannot. It cannot be us.
I can't choose women. This is not a 1 week problem. This
No.
is not a story of the week. This is a story of forever.
Except that there's a woman brave enough in Italy to actually challenge the patriarchy there. But that's a whole other story.
I think the Airbnb story is
be the
also
culprits. Can't be.
like multiple years. You just like that he said we
No,
can't
cannot.
be the culprit. We cannot.
Based
it's
on
not
based
possible.
on one data point of Airbnb listings decrease. I don't even know the decrease. It could have been one.
It could have been
one. I don't-
one thing went
But
down.
I just love that automatically. That's the reason. It's like it cannot be us.
Which leaves me with Lynn Good, which is really hard to choose this story
The
of
longest
the week. or
tenure
David
director
Zaslav.
at Boeing has
The
now
answer is-
overseen 3 catastrophic Boeing crashes. That's all I'm saying.
Congrats to her.
3
Like, it's-
over 200 people each on those.
Yeah, but it's rare in life when you get to see oversee 3 catastrophes and don't get voted out.
Just
That's
this
rare.
week, Airbus is destroying Boeing over there at the Paris Air
I
Show
just
and
wish-
sales.
I wish we would. If you thought of these people as politicians, like, and they had 3 catastrophic failures, like that directly resulted in deaths, and it was on your watch. You were supposed to be overseeing it. Like the police department blew up 3 churches accidentally, and over the course of like 6 years, while you were the mayor of the town. Would you still be mayor of the
How
town?
about this? If you're a basketball player and your team is sponsored by Nike and you're wearing like an Adidas shirt to a press conference, they'll ask you to cover it up. Why can't Morgan Stanley say to Lynn Good, hey, you can join our very prestigious board, but you're going to have to resign from Boeing.
Put
can
the
you
Boeing
resign?
hat
Can you
in the
resign
closet.
finally? Like it's enough. Like it's
But
embarrassing.
that's not the story of the week.
All right.
The story of the week is Zaslav.
All right,
it's
come on,
gonna
let's
be
move on.
Zaslav
We've
the
wasted
whole
too
time.
much time.
Let's,
Come
oh
on.
my God, this was the longest show ever.
How
Let's
do we do
this.
that?
I
I promise to shut up.
All right.
I promise to shut up.
Goodliest. Well, there's only 3 goodliest here. Why don't you go first?
The headline, what is a fridge cigarette? A new term for Diet Coke gains traction. I love this. Fridge cigarette.
Explain a fridge cigarette. How
Fridge
is that?
cigarette. Diet Coke, the new fridge cigarette. That's from the New York
so
Times.
weird
That's
to
from the
me.
New York Times. It must be important.
Is it somebody
They
else
do
call it
Wordle.
that?
They do Wordle, so it must be important.
All right, I've got 2. Here's the headline. Lawyers just discovered something about Meta's AI that could cost Zuckerberg untold billions of dollars.
What?
It spits out large portions of books verbatim. In fact, they just asked Llama
Copyright issue.
to correct it is not only is it copyrighted, but they claim that Zuckerberg was the one who claimed that they should be able to steal every book.
Yeah, because there's no
the
value.
individual
Yeah.
value of a book is near
No value.
zero.
Yeah.
No value. It just reproduced 42% of Harry Potter word for word out of the book.
Well, this is what happens when you're a college dropout like Mr. Zuckerberg, is you don't understand the cultural value of humanities. You just don't. It doesn't. You don't recognize
the lawsuit, like unlike a lot, OpenAI is at least clever enough to like avoid their models doing that. Zuckerberg could care so little about
should
the
he care?
value of your
Why should
information
he care?
and your copyrighted material that they're going to sue now, and it could be a really big deal. I made me very
That'd be
happy
nice.
when
What
I
else?
read that. Here's my other one. Disturbing test shows what happens when Tesla robotaxi sees a child mannequin pop out from behind a school bus.
Oh God. That's
Did
another
you see the video?
No, but this is another one talking about like tech bro fixes for a culture. Who asked for driverless taxis?
I didn't need. I rarely
Who
need a
asked
taxi.
for this?
Do I need a robo taxi?
Yeah,
Like,
we're better off like giving everyone a bike if it's coming to this.
The amazing part about this video is it's
Yeah.
like by a group that they actually had an ad during the Super Bowl and they showed like, Tesla self-driving, like run over things and hit baby carriages and stuff. They show a parked bus, school bus.
Yeah. As
with
they do.
the stop sign.
As they do.
How the school bus has
Oh,
the
yeah.
stop sign flap that comes out and the blinking lights. Not only does the Tesla not stop for it, the robotaxi doesn't stop
Well, it's
for it.
woke to stop for a bus.
But then they pull this mannequin out from behind the bus to like cross the street
Yeah, to represent like a child.
to represent a child. And the robotaxi not hits the child, stops, and then proceeds to run the child over as it goes like
maybe-
it stopped because it was like, something happened. And then it runs the child over. And they did it with like a half dozen mannequins.
Maybe it was a woke child. Maybe it was a Democrat.
I just thought it was great. It's a great video.
I don't like that.
I mean, sure, it's disturbing.
I don't like
but
that.
come on, it's like at some point, it's like this is the future we all wanted from our tech bros. This is the frictionless
I don't
future,
like this.
baby.
I don't like this sarcasm. The winner is what's the winner?
The winner is fridge cigarette.
Well, let's move on. Come on.
All right, let's do assholiest.
I'm gonna shut up.
Oh, well, here's the good news. I've only got two.
Good, and the other good news is that I promised to shut up.
The two I have are relatively the same, actually.
I'm still shutting up. Go ahead.
I saw this headline: Musk's XAI burns through $1 billion a month as costs pile up.
Is that a lot? It sounds like a lot.
It's $12 billion a year.
Yeah.
So I actually looked through the burn rate of these companies. The XAI, OpenAI, Anthropic are the three big ones, right? The burn rate of XAI is currently around $12 billion a year. They're going to bring in almost no revenue.
This is XAI. This is his AI company. This is not
This
X.
is Musk's AI.
Okay,
yeah.
all right, okay.
And this is what they say on their website, just in case you were confused about what they're supposed to do. We build AI specifically to advance human comprehension and capabilities. And Musk says, additionally, they're using this as a part of SpaceX, that the overall vision is to go to Mars because it will, quote, save humanity as he continues to push human extinction fears.
What gives him the credentials to advance human comprehension and capabilities and save humanity? Like, where does he learn this?
Right now, like,
what's his expertise in this area?
He read like
Ayn Rand novel.
Yeah.
Really,
what
is his expertise? This is nuts. He sounds like a crazy.
OpenAI
Sounds like a villain from a movie.
I think they all are
Okay,
at this
go ahead,
point.
go ahead. I'm not
OpenAI
shutting
is
up.
burning through $5 billion a year, and they say on their website, OpenAI is an AI research and deployment company. Our mission is to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity.
That's a little bit better of a mission.
Anthropic's burning through about $3 billion, and they say, quote, we strive to make decisions that maximize positive outcomes for humanity in the long run, and they act for the global
That sounds
good.
a bit more honest. They're striving.
Okay, so do you notice, though, all of them are burning through
Cash.
billions. Collectively, they're burning through $20 billion a year right now.
Yeah, we need that cash
For the
other
global
things.
good.
Yeah.
The goal is the global good. That's the goal. $20 billion a year, global good. Well, I looked up, and the low-end estimate to end world hunger per year can go as low as $7 billion.
Is that true? Then why don't we do that?
Because nobody cares. Like
Really?
that was the low-end estimate. Like if you want like actual good nutrition, like it's in the $100 billion range, right?
But starting with something is good.
The World Bank estimated that clean water for all of humanity would cost $150 billion a year.
Yeah.
There are 19 million. If you just cared about the U.S., there are 19 million households in the U.S. that don't have water access.
Wow, I did not know that. 19 million.
The compliance cost for the Clean Air Act is $65 billion a year.
I see where you're going here.
All I'm saying is that we are burning a tremendous amount of money, energy, time, thinking on a thing that purportedly for the benefit of all humanity. Again, we are doing this. We will save. We are fixing human problem.
Yeah, but
where there's some big problem, we are going to fix it. We tech people know how to fix it.
But you're forgetting the other end of this, which is a bunch of VC bros in Silicon Valley hoping that to make 1,000x their investment.
Well, there's also the unintended consequences of them getting 1,000x their investment, which include. Here's just the headlines from this week. This is just this week, and it's exhausting.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lowe's CEO says young workers should stay away from the corporate office and close to the cash register.
I don't really get that one. Yeah, I saw that one.
Marvin Ellison said, quote, AI isn't going to fix a hole in your roof. It's not going to respond to an electrical issue in your home. It's not going to stop your water heater from leaking. So what AI is going to do is every job that people prefer to have, where they sit at a desk and they move paper around, they have a coffee and a bagel, and it's nice and it's relaxing, and it's this middle class, up white collar gig. Mm-hmm. They are now going to have to go in crawl spaces and fix electrical boxes and get shocks, retire early because of the damage to your body from doing this, go climb on your roof and fix the hole.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
that's what you should focus your time on.
I don't like this sequence of things he pointed out. First of all, yeah, fixing a hole in your roof sounds dangerous. And then we have an electrical issue and a water leak. Like that
altogether,
that's a recipe for disaster right there.
It's
yeah.
really like the worst. The things that people no longer want to do are not the things that we're solving for the benefit of humanity, costing $20 billion a year. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy just told employees expect cuts to white collar jobs because of AI.
Yeah.
So all the people who do the computer stuff at Amazon, they're all going to get cut. But the jobs you're going to keep? The ones where the people have to pee in a bottle because you don't have bathroom breaks, because you have to get this object from point A to point B as fast as possible so that people get their rubber chickens faster.
Matt, this is the thing that scares me the most, is that all these tech bros envision a world where essentially there'll be a lot more people who don't have to work. Right? They'll just be getting a universal basic income just to exist because AI will set them free from work. But the worst thing in the history of our culture since day zero is men with nothing to do.
Oh my God! When you horrible. Put men, do not do that.
When you put men out there with absolutely nothing to do, they don't get tired from labor or exhausted from mental efforts. They are nightmares. They are destructive.
They're
so this
horrible.
is what I fear the most. I don't want idle men. I don't want that.
You're not wrong at all. And the big con here is you notice the shift. The white collar jobs are going to go away, and the blue collar jobs, the stuff that's hard and no one really wants to do. If they had choices, the reason why we spent 100 years saying go to college so you have options, so you don't have to do this work, so you don't have to go up on a roof and fix a hole. I'm not saying that's not valuable labor or that's not noble labor, but trust me when I tell you, everyone I've ever met, I worked in construction for a while. I painted houses for a while. Everyone who was a lifer wished they could do something else. They did not want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because it hurts.
It's backbreaking.
It's horrible on your body.
It's dangerous too, some of it.
And in fact, I just read there's a story in the Times yesterday about black lung is back in Appalachia because they're back in coal mines, right? So now they're dying. Young people are getting black lung. And the great con here is when it's the white collar jobs that are losing their jobs, we have not been able to get a living wage without unions for blue collar jobs. How fast do you think universal income becomes a thing when it's the white collar jobs that now are displaced? Because it used to be for hundreds of years, we would use a robot to displace a blue collar job. We would replace manufacturing with robots. All the jobs that sucked, we were steadily replacing and making fewer and fewer people. When you fire Amazon's middle class, the white collar middle class, I bet you the debate on universal income actually becomes this is something we absolutely have to do. Bernie Sanders has been fighting. I'm not a socialist, but he's been fighting for a living wage.
Well, that's not necessarily a socialist idea, though.
I'm just saying, he's been fighting for a living wage for as long as he's been a politician.
It's just like stakeholder capitalism.
You know when we're gonna get it? When like the white, white collar, white male middle class, they're the ones who need the money because they don't have any skills. They're not going on roofs.
Well, I don't want to continue your rant here too much, but I thought that what about all these robots they're building? All are they not going to be fixing our roofs? What are the robots going to be up to?
The robots are going to be really, really good at doing backflips right now. That's what they do.
Right, but I'm saying
what they're going to do.
Are we just heading to a future where both the blue collar and the white collar men have nothing to do?
I think the blue collar jobs are a long ways away from being displaced. But that doesn't mean that robots aren't going to do something, because then I saw this headline. As ChatGPT linked to mental health breakdowns, Mattel announces plans to incorporate it into children's toys.
Oh, God.
It's like everything. This is supposed to be helping the benefit of humanity.
Again, there's no way to fight back on this. There's no way. Investors can't fight back.
How is the good of humanity? Mother Teresa made like $0 in her life. How is the good of humanity look like this? It ends with Dario Amodi has a net worth of $1.2 billion. Elon Musk's net worth is $406 billion. Sam Altman's net worth is $1.8 billion. It seems like the benefit of humanity is really the benefit of a couple of tech bros, and we have to deal with the mess when everyone is displaced.
Yeah, and
there's idle men who are disgruntled. Our children are in the middle of a mental health crisis.
Let's not forget, too, that they're getting rid of regulators. They're getting rid of regulation. And the large majority of all these companies that you're complaining about have no actual oversight. I mean, Elon Musk does not have a board that actually acts independently of him.
So that's option number one.
Come on, go ahead.
Option number two. I saw this headline. Spotify's Daniel Ek leads $694 million investment in defense startup Helsing. And then,
really,
when you were looking at the pre-production notes, you sent me these two headlines. Yeah. Palantir, Meta, OpenAI execs to commission into Army Reserve form Detachment 201. These are executives at the company who are going to be honored with an actual commission into the Army.
Yeah, that
as their own detachment.
I don't. It read like The Onion, that piece. It's from breakingdefense.com, but I think it's real.
I think it's real.
It's like executives from Palantir, OpenAI.
Yes, and Meta. And it's Boz at Meta.
It's craziness.
And then OpenAI wins $200 million in U.S. defense contracts.
I don't like any of this.
Can you explain to me?
Yeah.
The tech bro middle school man baby thing. We talked about how they feel persecuted. Have you ever noticed when they're done like saving the world or building their innocent empire of like 3D goggles and we connect people and internet friends and look how easy it is to pay for things online. When they're done with these like things that are they seem pretty innocuous, at some point when they're like in their beds of dual class billions of dollars, they all invest in defense.
Well, I remember I'm glad you mentioned that. I remember as a kid in middle school, my dad was a librarian, so I was the kind of kid who was very interested in libraries. I used to have to. The middle school boys were obsessed with books about Nazis, Hitler, war,
blowing stuff up.
And I would go around the library and I would turn around those books. I would to the spine face backwards, all the horrible, dumb, like Nazi war books, because they were just obsessed with them. It drove me insane. But you're right. And none of these boys, especially the tech boys who go on to do these kind of office jobs, none of them join the Army. It's not like they're actually enlisting. Not. They're not actually.
Except for Detachment 201.
Right. So, okay. All right. What else you got?
But this is like they stop maturing at age 13.
You're making me crazy.
Like these assholes.
You're making me crazy.
Who have basically given us this air quote frictionless world, then go on after they feel persecuted to take the billions of dollars they made, making our lives, saying they made our lives better, but actually not improving anything. And they spend some of those billions to blow shit up. Watch us every move we make, like Palantir does, or Anduril, Palmer Luckey's Anduril.
Maybe Elon Musk is right. Maybe we do need to escape to Mars because we need to escape from them. We have to escape from the tech bros.
I mean, we're all They basically are enabling us to kill ourselves while telling us they've improved our lives, while buying large portions of islands that are inaccessible to us.
Let's not forget that people like Elon Musk still to this day say that there's a 30% chance that AI will destroy humanity. Like it's still that. All right,
well, the good news is,
can I vote?
He's missed every single one of his targets.
That's true. Can we vote? Can I vote?
Yes. Those are the only two.
So it's tech bros and AI companies burning through cash, and
it's the cash spend.
Tech bros investing into war
and the defense spend.
God, they're both. I could easily vote for both of them.
Asshole?
See, none of these are like stories of the week because they're ongoing problems.
But all the headlines are from this week, which is the insane part.
Boy, they're kind of the same story, are they not? Can I just?
That's what I mean.
Can I just vote for it? Can I just vote for?
Yes, yes. Vote, that's the correct answer. All of it is the correct answer.
Just voting for it all.
All right, let's do headliniest winners predictions and get out of here. That was a lot this week. It's the same length show as normal, but it feels like a lot.
Let's get out of here. I have. I'll go first. I have two. I don't usually make politics one of my stories, although. Just because we're talking about stakeholder capitalism and we're talking about Trump earlier, we're talking about Juneteenth, we're talking about CEOs, but I had to point this one out. On Juneteenth, Donald Trump says the U.S. has too many holidays. We get what that is. That's the anti-DEI, anti-woke, anti-black messaging that we've all grown to love. So I'm looking at you.
Yeah, black people. You already have MLK.
I'm looking at you, Target. Target, this is what you respond to. And Target, this is why you're suffering, by the way. So congratulations, Brian Cornell. But here's the quote from Trump. Too many non-working holidays in America. The workers don't want it either.
Oh, that's...
I just thought that was fabulously stupid. I thought that was fabulously stupid. But my real headlines of the week is this. A great one. Jamie Dimon says, I love Jamie Dimon says, CEOs can't expect everything to be constantly easy.
Oh.
I just love how he's kind of entered into his like senile Warren Buffett phase of just saying stupid stuff.
Well, I got my headline is also a Jamie Dimon says.
Go ahead.
It's Jamie Dimon says. And this is the actual headline because this is why we called it Jamie Dimon says. The headline is Jamie Dimon says creating a functional workplace means firing a-holes.
Seriously?
That's what he said, yeah.
Do we have any metrics about what makes an a-hole?
No, he just said fire them.
But what I would love to know the data. They must have data that there must be a point system where you become a full-fledged a-hole, right?
You know what? That would have been my dream.
Yeah,
like to be inside a workplace.
Must be a spreadsheet.
Like 5,000 people, and there's some sort of grading system on a-holeness.
Right.
I would have been fired 7 minutes after being there, right. Like I love
you, Jamie Dimon. Let's move on. Come on.
Who's your winner for the week?
Mine's easy. Based on the headline from CNBC that Airbus is dominating the Paris Air Show. My winner's Airbus for this reason alone, just because it's not Boeing.
Yes, that's correct.
This is how you succeed in society. Not Boeing. You just don't be Boeing and you're a winner.
I'm telling you, I'm still thinking back on it. So far, the biggest news of the first half of this year was Sabrina Soussan leaving the Boeing board. She was like one of two people with any engineering background on that board.
Why did she leave the board? Do we know?
She joined like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. She dropped out. And then the Boeing plane crashes.
Okay,
right?
See, now you're causing conspiracy
theories. But she's
theories.
an engineer. She actually knows stuff about planes.
Lynn Good's been there forever. All right, go ahead. What's your winner?
Here's my winner. I don't like saying this.
Come on.
RFK Jr.
Why?
He announced that he's attacking pharmaceutical advertising.
That's good, yeah.
That's kind of good. He's announced that with Starbucks, they are creating a healthy menu at Starbucks.
Dumb.
They're changing.
They don't need to sell food, but go ahead.
But that's
fine.
Good.
It's fine. It's okay. Okay. I can't believe this is your winner.
Like RFK Jr. is the one member of the administration no one asked about Iran. He's not involved in starting World War III.
Yeah.
I think he won.
You're crazy. You've lost your mind. You notice that all of RFK Jr.'s, everything he's pushing for is basically what every first lady has always pushed for. And they always mock the first lady. Whenever the women would say, like, we want to make America healthy, we want to do more like calisthenics or eat better, they mock them because they're usually the wives of Democrats. But we love this, right? RFK Jr. All right, come on, move on. Of course.
Yeah. Well, what's your prediction?
Mine's a convoluted one, so bear with me.
It can't be worse than mine.
Bear with
Mine's
me.
Weirder.
Tech CEOs, okay? You were talking all about tech CEOs, defense, tech bros, they're dropouts, they're idiots, they're children. Okay, so tech CEOs start wearing military hats, right?
Ooh, I like this
Kind of
already.
like Fidel Castro was famous for kind of wearing like a Generalissimo kind of hat. So and he would wear fatigues. Remember, he'd always have like a green, like he's a revolutionary. He was tech CEOs start wearing military hats, okay, with the main decal right in the middle being a digital number that it's hooked up to a satellite. It represents their wealth, calculated to the second based on current share price. So for Sam Altman, for instance, it would be 1.4. That would be his number, because once you're below $1 billion anyway, you don't get to wear the hat, right?
You're not. They take the hat away.
There would be gold stars in the hat. They would be represented by how many votes per share your Class B holdings represent. Brian Chesky gets 20 votes per share, so he'd have 20 gold stars,
20
right?
gold stars. Wow.
And then there'd be stripes. The stripes are a little bit weird. They represent how many years of college that you did not attend. So bear with me. If you dropped out your second semester of your first year, you'd have 3 stripes, because it means
3.5 stripes.
Well, okay, maybe a half a stripe.
The half a stripe.
It depends if you actually got full grades for your first semester.
3.
We'll look into that. So that's it. Tech CEOs wearing stupid hats.
I thought mine was convoluted. Yours is way more convoluted.
Mine should happen. Mine should happen.
Yours is hat-based. It's first hat-based prediction on this show. Here's my prediction. Boeing CEO Kelly Ortberg reads a paper, academic paper. This academic paper just came out. The title is Chief Executive Officer Machiavellianism and Executive Pay.
Yes, I saw that, yeah.
About how CEOs who act like Machiavelli not only make more money, but they are actually more successful over time. And he decides to take Machiavelli's advice. He fires half of Boeing.
Okay.
Just in one day, fires half of Boeing. And he gives the other half free donuts on Fridays for the rest of the year. Because, as Machiavelli said, quote, any cruelty has to be executed at once, so that the less it is tasted, the less it offends, while benefits must be dispersed little by little, so that they will be savored all the more.
You've lost your mind. Which one of ours is stupider? I don't even know.
Well, yours is. That's Hazelnut Rallis. I'm your analyst, Matt Moscardi. We are Free Float. Come back. Not next week. We are on a break next week, but we will be back the week after that, the week of July 4th, to celebrate the holiday. Until then, good